record button. Okay, so let me go back to the home screen. We're on the MLS, we're running stats. So you go to the stats tab, and then you got to decide what stats you're going to run. I usually go to a custom report because I'm never doing anything that's exactly cookie cutter. And depending on how far back you need to go to tell your story, they give you all these options for time frame. Sometimes I'll show like a 5-year perspective, or sometimes we can just go back 2 years, and you can customize it to whatever you want using this right here. You can do year by year, past 12 months. Let's just go ahead and do past 12 months. And then here's where you can start adding your statistics. Did you find this?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is it right here. So one story you may want to tell is about the number of active listings. And then you talked about market time. You want to show how market time is changing depending on the story that you're trying to tell. Oh, by the way, I like grouping them by month. That seems to be the best way to tell the story, how it changes month by month. Now you can add a second statistic by going into advanced options, and see it adds a secondary statistic. So you can show the number of active listings, and on the same chart, you wanted to talk about days to sell. And I usually go median. Median's better than average sometimes, because if you have some outliers, they'll skew the average. You can change the type of chart you're creating. When you're putting 2 stats on, it's usually nice to do a line or a smooth line, because the other types like sometimes cover up the secondary stat.
Mm-hmm.
Now over here, you do just like you would do an MLS search, and I would start, I mean, you could experiment like if you wanted to do more than one county, but I would start with just one county. So let's just say Cuyahoga first. You could get this really specific, like if you wanted to show what the market's doing just in Strongsville, for example, or if you wanted to do Strongsville and Brunswick, you would select Cuyahoga and Medina County and select the 2 cities that you want to put together. You could do any of the criteria you're able to do in an MLS search. Now, also don't forget, because you don't want to have this mixed up with commercial and rentals and all that, make sure that you select the type of property you want to do. You could really burrow down and say, hey, what's the condo market doing? What's the single family market doing compared to each other? You could also do a particular price range. So like I've done searches for 600 plus because I want to do like a luxury market update, a luxury market report. But in this case, we're just going to do all of Cuyahoga, residential, and we're going to look at active listings and number of days to sell over the last 12 months. You got it so far?
Yeah.
You click generate. It takes a minute because it's a lot of data that it's compiling. And it's going to show you a couple different things. You can look at the graphs, or you can download the data in a CSV file. So if you're doing a video, you want the data downloaded so that you can say exact numbers. And if you want the graphs to create visuals, this is what you do. I usually just right click and save it as, and then I've got a VA who compiles my videos for me. I do the audio and give him the footage, and then he overlays the graphic when I'm talking about the graphic. So the story that this tells right here, this is something that I just talked about in my last video. This blue line is number of days to sell, median, and you can see it peaks here around 35 days over the last 12 months. Guess what time of year this is?
Middle of winter, when people aren't looking.
That's right. So this is kind of an interesting story. Hey, homes stay on the market longer every winter. And if you were to change this to the last 5 years, you would see up and down and up and down. That's this change. This happens every single year. Market time goes up. And then of course the valley is middle of summer. Now you can see what's already starting to happen.
It's starting to.
Yep, market time starting to already increase. Now this is number of listings. The valley, the least number of listings that are on the market is same thing, middle of winter. Peaks are middle of summer. All right, so that's the chart. And then you click here if you want to see the actual numbers. This is the actual numbers, the data. You can see the days to sell is on the rise, but still very, very low. And then here's where you export it as a CSV file if you need to print it out or do whatever.
Okay.
Makes sense? Any questions?
No, most of that I kind of had before. I guess I was just not able to make the data talk for what I wanted it to say.
Okay, I'm going to switch it here to the last 5 years just to show you what that looks like. Last thing I'm going to do is change the type of chart that it creates. You've probably seen some of the videos I do where I use the bar graphs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of data, it's taken a while.
You just changed it time frame.
Yeah, but now it has to go back 5 years, so it's 5 times as much data. So you can see the blue line here, each peak is going to be middle of winter. And overall, it's been trending down. That's days on market. So overall, days on market for the last 5 years has been trending down, but it still peaks in the winter. And then this is number of listings. Each summer is when it peaks. And same thing, over the last 5 years, inventory has been trending down, but there's a big swoop up here lately. So that's what I was saying in my last video, that inventory does seem to be rising, and we're about to go into winter, so days on market should be going up, and it might be a better time for buyers to buy.
Mm-hmm.
If you get rid of the secondary statistic, here's where you can change this to a different type of graph. Let me just go 1 year so it doesn't take as long. Let's just do year to date. Now I'm doing the column type chart. And for certain applications, this might be easier for people to visualize in your videos. Yep, there. Oh, I didn't get rid of the secondary statistic, but this one here is active listings. So sometimes the bar graphs just make it easier to show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like bar graphs better whenever I can use them.